Hello, everyone. Welcome to this talk about Sibshops today for Family Cafe. I did do this last year since we weren't able to be in person, but I wanted to share it again and add a few things that I've learned over the past few years and share it with you guys. I really like to do these in person and actually have the kids participate, but this is more of an informational session for parents and caregivers. So, a little bit about my background is I grew up with an older brother with autism and an aunt with Down syndrome. There is us when we were younger. I don't remember how old I was, 5 or 6 probably. And this is a picture with my aunt well before my brother was ever diagnosed. So we grew up in a really small rural farm town in upstate New York and didn't have a whole lot of support. As you can imagine, it's hard to find respite now. Imagine back in the 80s. So fast forward, I became an occupational therapist. I have a host of other certifications as well, and I'm currently living in Bradenton, Florida. And I'll share a little bit about our story over the past year. It was kind of crazy with COVID. I do have my own practice. It's soul to soul yoga and all ages therapy services. Unfortunately, since this was recorded last year, my father has since passed away, and I have taken complete guardianship over my sibling. Was also introduced to the Sibling Leadership Network about 2 years ago and attended their conference, which I'll look at my calendar, would be the weekend after this. So there'll still be time to sign up for that. It is virtual. It was supposed to be in Jacksonville. It would have been here in Florida. But, if this is something that interests you, definitely reach out to me. And on future slides, I do have my contact information. So if this is something that you think you would like to attend, or should attend, and they do have continuing education credits for occupational therapists, social workers, and a couple other disciplines, and I can get you more information on that as well. There's also SibNet on Facebook. This is for adults with brothers or sisters with special needs or disabilities. We're not supposed to use special needs anymore, but it's like ingrained in my head. And it's a great support tool if your sibling in your family is not 18 yet. There is Sib-Teen. It's moderated by a licensed social worker and a few other adults, so it is safe. And then there's also Sib-20s, I believe. So I ended up taking the Sib shop a couple years ago, the training, and I totally wish this was around when I was a kid. So I hope you enjoyed this. So what are Sibshops? They are they're not therapy. It's not therapy, but it's definitely a therapeutic group where children come together that have brothers and sisters with special needs and talk about the good, bad, and the ugly, and whatever that looks like, for a child. I do have this video. If for some reason the volume does not work, that is the link. You can also go to Special Needs Parenting's YouTube channel and type in Sib Shop. So hopefully this works. Maybe.
We're building Legos like robots. And we made something of our own. Molly Kelso doesn't often
get to have things that are just her own, let alone a Lego project and personal stormtrooper. But that's life as a Sib. We asked him about you, and a lot of the kids had a hard time thinking about just that. Sib stands for sibling.
My brother has autism, and he's sometimes tough to live with, but I still like him around.
The kids attending these Sibshops all have that in common: a brother or sister with special needs. The Sibshops is really to get them to focus on them and who they are as people, as well as a brother or sister. While it looks like fun, it's also an open forum to be comfortable enough to talk things out.
I really like it and enjoy other kids here.
They'll ask each other, how do you handle this? That camaraderie is big. It doesn't matter what the issue is, they all have that in common. It's a worldwide program, but families have Julie to thank for bringing Sibshops to town. It was a passion of mine. I'm a clinical social worker. I have a practice, and I've always seen that the siblings needed a lot of support. And thanks to her, they find that support in their new friends who get them just a little better. The Sibshops give him that chance to connect, and things he might not want to say to me, he can say to the other kids, and they understand.
Kind of the brief overview of what, sib shops kind of look like. There's therapeutic activities, and like she said, to bounce ideas off of, like, how do you handle when your sibling does X, Y, and Z. So it's just a good place, and it's to have fun. Like, think about the sibling that was in the video talking about being able to play with Legos. My guess is that, at home, she doesn't have that opportunity. The sibling may take the Legos, or maybe those are just for him or her. I didn't quite catch the gender, doesn't matter. But the point is, sometimes our toys are shared. Like, I never had heads on any of my Barbies. So I just never played with dolls because the heads would disappear. And so we get to play games and learn, about other things that their siblings may be doing. And starting at a young age to find your tribe is such a cool concept. I mean, I was 39 when I went to that conference. So yeah, it was a long time coming. So no, sib jobs are not therapy, but it'll feel therapeutic for the sibling. So the first sib I ever met, I was 29, and it was the daughter of Sonia Samar, who is the creator of Yoga for the Special Child. So she had a sister with Down syndrome that also looked very different in the late 70s and early 80s, especially in Brazil, where, it was still considered a third world country. So our experiences weren't necessarily the same, and unfortunately her sibling had passed away, but it was just nice to know that these other people do exist. So who attends, who facilitates? The siblings are Sibshops are offered for brothers and sisters of kids with health concerns. A lot of times you'll find them at hospitals, and there is definitely an emerging group of sibs where their siblings have mental health concerns, which we weren't seeing when this was kind of developed. Usually ages 8 to 13 will depend on the community. They could be offered as young as 6, and then I think teen groups would be awesome. Especially like juniors and seniors that are going off to college, and what do I do, and what is my role, and what is the responsibility. And I think, being able to problem solve, that out would be amazing. My example is I was out the door and running. My brother was in a group home by the time I was 16. And so I knew he was kind of cared for, and I went about my life until recently. You know, Parents are usually the ones that are begging for these kind of programs, but in order for getting those siblings to talk about some of their feelings, we definitely ask that parents do not stay. Kids will not open up. So, and then myself, an adult sibling. Most of these are moderated by some kind of mental health provider, social worker, licensed mental health counselor. I'm seeing a big need in my community for something like this. I started seeing a couple siblings, like their disability isn't a I don't know how to explain it, but the sibling goes to a major center in the area, such as Easer Seals or the Haven, and then the other sibling needs some form of support. And a lot of times, sensory processing disorders get diagnosed young when it's really the underlying anxiety and some of the other things that come along with being a sibling. So I definitely see a huge need in this community. And in order to provide these, you have to go to the training. And I believe right now they're still doing them online. I don't think they're doing any in person. I went to Texas. That was a great group. And if they're doing it online, I highly recommend that if you're looking to bring this to your area. If you want a directory, if there's a Sib shop near you, I know this conference is now virtual, so I don't know where people are listening from, but um, there is a directory. And if you call the Sibling Support Project, they'll tell you who's been trained, what's going on. Us moderators are supposed to tell them when we're doing it so they can help advertise too. So if you do call it, they know that these programs are kind of up and running, but Emily would be more than happy to help you, and you can email info@siblingsupport.org. So over the past year, I read a ton of books, and here are some of my favorites. They're all written by fellow siblings, and a special shout out to Diane down at the bottom. That book just came out this year. Super good. Not that all of them aren't good. Riding the Bus with My Sister was turned into a movie on the Hallmark Channel. The Sibling Survival Guide, it was written, in collaboration with the Sibling Support Project. So if you wanted to read books written by people that have had the sibling experience, I would highly recommend any of these. I will put a one caveat: the difference in the family was written in a different time. So the language in there is not up to our standards. Like, I'm still saying special needs. I know we're not supposed to do that anymore. We're supposed to just name the disability. It's really hard when everything is special needs planning and special needs attorneys and special needs trust, and everything still has the same special needs. So I'm doing my best. So name the disability is the new PC thing to say. So anyway, if you look on here, any of these books, I believe I bought them all on Amazon. Like I said, the difference in the family is older, so maybe a little bit more challenging to find. I think I got a used copy. Sibshops near you. You can contact me, but like I said, I would contact the Sibling Support Project, and they'll be more than happy to assist you. I will tell you that coming this fall, they will be in the Bradenton, Sarasota area of Florida. I was able to get a new space this year, and the space is big enough for me to host them. I was trying to collaborate with some other organizations, and COVID just put a wrench in a lot of things, but nobody was really wanting to pick it up. So I got my own space. So it's coming. I'm going to do a small beta test with some of my current client siblings and just see how it goes. And then we will go from there. I am hoping, I'm going to put this out there, that come September, I just have to figure out which Saturday of the month I want to do that. I have a blog now too. I didn't have this last year, specialsib.com, where I kind of write about some of my good and not so good parts about being the adult of an individual with a disability, kind of the road to today. There is one post, I should put it on here. There is one post about how to apply for med waiver and kind of the process I had to take when I moved my sibling down here. It was over a year ago, and So this is being recorded in late April, but it was March of 2020, right before the world shut down, and APD decided they were going to close admissions to group homes. So he is in an ICF, which is an immediate care facility, and actually it's working out great. So I am pleasantly pleased and happy of where he is. These are just a few photos from when he was staying with me for 5 weeks. Um, I, I posted the happy ones, so we're just gonna leave it at that. It was definitely a little stressful, but the world was shut down. I couldn't work, so it actually kind of worked out well timing wise. I'm gonna leave my email up here for a bit, but if you have any questions for me about the sibling, if you need anything, I would say check out the blog. I've probably written a post on it. How to apply for MedWeaver, how to apply for Medicaid, questions and answers that came out of both of those posts. I answered to them to the best of my ability. I am not an attorney. I cannot guide you on guardianship and guardianship advocacy, but please, if that is something that your individual in your life needs, please seek out legal counsel. I did find out a one caveat was that if you can't afford legal counsel, legal aid doesn't do guardianship. And if you call them, you can put your name on a list, and the attorneys there's a group of attorneys that rotate doing pro bono cases. So legal aid themselves doesn't do it, but they'll pair you with an attorney that is appropriate that can do pro bono work. So that is a good thing to know. I didn't know that until a few weeks ago. So like I said, not an attorney, can't guide you on any kind of guardianship, but please, if you can't afford it, just reach out to legal aid. But yeah, I think that's it for me. Please check out the blog at specialsib.com. They answer a lot of the questions that you do have. And then, of course, reach out to my email at any point. I will be live at the conference. So if you want to track me down or listen to a different one of my presentations, which has to do with neuro stuff, more of the occupational therapy brain, please come check us out. And that'll be it. I hope to hear from everybody soon. I hope everybody is doing safe and well. Third time's a charm. Maybe next year we can actually run one of these things at the conference. Stay well, everyone.